Now, before we start Azure App Services, it's really important to understand Azure Shared Responsibility Model. I am assuming that you're already familiar with this because you already know the Azure fundamentals. But still, as you consider public cloud services, it's critical to understand the shared responsibility model and which security tasks are handled by the cloud provider and which tasks are going to be handled by you. The workload responsibilities vary depending on whether the workload is hosted on software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, or in an on-premise data center. For all the cloud deployment types, you have to be very focused on which kind of responsibility model you are following. Because based on that, you will have a different level of controls on resources which are hosted on Azure Cloud. Regardless of the type of the deployment, there are 4 things which will be always written by you other than this diagram, that are data, endpoints, account, and access management. And these 4 responsibilities you can manage by yourself in any of the flavors which you choose from this. Azure App Services are actually service for hosting your web applications, your API apps, or maybe even your mobile apps. Technically in Azure, we have so many things which are having a word app associated with that. So that suffix app is actually combinedly coming under the umbrella of app service. And actually all these things are known as app services. So when you call web app or when you call app service, it's more or less the same thing. Because these services are actually going to be treated same way in Azure. And that's the reason all these things we call app service. When you choose app service kind of deployment in Azure, you will have varieties of frameworks and programming language choices available for you. You can also use SSL and custom domain names associated with that app service. If you already own a custom domain, you can easily associate with that. And you can make sure that your security will be taken care with HTTPS. Even we have some facilities like web jobs which can be associated with the existing app services, and it can do some background jobs and task processing for you, which can be associated with your app service execution. And even though this is a platform as a service, we have a scaling facilities added into this. So you can scale to a larger machines without redeploying your application. Now if we focus on key features of Azure App Service, especially if we focus on web apps, then as we said, it's going to support multiple languages and frameworks. We can integrate this thing with the Azure DevOps and the other DevOps integration. If your organization is preferring DevOps, this is going to be the right choice for that. We have a global scaling with high availability associated with that, which can give you almost zero downtime kind of guarantee from Microsoft. We can integrate this thing with the IDEs like Visual Studio. We have so many flavors of application templates available in this. We have API and mobile features integrated with that, and that's the reason we have APIs, mobile app kind of things also with that. Not only that, we have even something in Azure called function apps, which are nothing but a serverless code integrated with your app services. We have something called app service environments, which we will learn in depth in the same module, but this app service environments are going to give you an isolated environment where you can control many compute related association and security related associations with your app service. Obviously, you can take care of your authentication, authorization with this application, so your security and compliance standards followed by your organization can be associated with this. As I mentioned, custom domains, TLS, SSL integrations are also there. We can also connect with the existing software as a service platforms. So if your organization is using some software as a services like Office 365 or maybe SAP integration, you can integrate with that. Or even it can support with the OpenID integrations, like sometimes you want to provide an authentication authorization, sign in through Facebook or sign in through Gmail or any other authentication provider, you can integrate easily with this app services. Not only that, it also allows you to deploy all these things as a platform as a service, which simply means that these Azure App Services are going to be deployed in a separate self-hosted environment kind of thing, and this environment will be totally managed by Azure. We have a specific name for that, which we call Azure App Service Plan. We will see this plan also right now, but yes, this is going to be, you can imagine like one app service plan is the hosting environment in which your app service is deployed. And last but not the least, we have integration of Azure CDN which is allowing me to cache my static files into that local point of presence servers, and then we can also integrate with the virtual network. So if your project demands that the applications are going to be run within my own secure virtual private network, then that can be also integrated with this. These are some of those key features which makes this app service more reusable, but you will know about this thing better when we actually use this thing in the demos of this course. Right now, if I focus on that word app service plan, now we know what is app service. And when you want to host the app service on Azure, the hosting environment is known as app service plan. So technically, this is nothing but that hosting environment kind of server. But because this is a platform as a service, you are not able to manage this server by yourself. They will allow you to choose a platform. They will allow you to even customize some kind of an operating system level choices in that. So you can choose whether you want a Linux-based app service plan or Windows-based. But once you choose that thing, the operating system will be managed by Azure, not by you. You can just take care of your application and data layer in this, and that's the reason. You can create an app service plan with your choice of memory and compute optimization. And after that, if you want, you can scale it also. But then you still have some limitations because this is a platform as a service. What are these limitations and what kind of things we can do in this app service plan? We will see this thing in the demo section. But just keep one thing in your mind, that one app service plan is that hosting environment in which you can deploy your more than one web applications. So there are chances that you are using an app service plan like a shared environment where you can deploy your more than one web apps. And maybe sometimes you do not want to do the shared hosting kind of thing, then you can use one web app for one app service plan. So that mapping is possible and customizable. Now, if I talk about app service environments, as I mentioned earlier, app service environments are actually those fully isolated and dedicated environment for securely running your app services with a high scale. Now, if you say that I'm not happy with app service plan and the capacity or the compute which is provided by app service plan is not enough, then the choice which you have is you can go with app service environments and you can get the higher isolated environments with this. You can also take care of your network isolation and you can securely access your network with high memory utilization. So in short, when you go to app service environment, obviously your requirement will be like you need more compute, you need more network security, and you need a high memory utilization with that. It can be also associated with the one single Azure region or multi-region. I'm sure you're familiar with the regions of Azure, and you know that as of now we have more than 65 plus Azure regions available in the world. And you can choose your app service environment in any of the one single region, or even if you want to achieve high availability and making sure that in case of disaster also your environments will be available, then you can also use multi-region app service environments in which maybe your one or more app services will be deployed. Now the last and the important point is this, that when you're dealing with app service environment, it is always dedicated exclusively to a single subscription. So you can deploy AAC in multiple regions, but that should be associated with one single Azure subscription. With maximum, you can create 100 instances per AAC, which is more than enough. But yes, it is not going to be associated with more than one subscription. It is always associated with single subscription, which is an important point to remember.